Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Customer Experience Podcast R&R, which stands for myself, Richard, and him over there.
Ryan, good afternoon, everybody. Or if you're listening in the morning, good morning. Or if you're listening in the evening, bonsoir. Yeah, it's February. It's February already, Mr. Knight. Can you believe it?
Zooming past rather rapidly, actually. Yeah, interesting one. Although, actually, when we are recording this, the weather isn't too bad. The birds are tweeting. There's that
Like this.
certain excitement, exactly excitement that spring is just around the corner in lush, lovely areas down there, particularly down in the southwest, because of course this is the best part of the world. Um, you know. As various other people around the country would say, it's all God's own county and all of that stuff. It's the southwest. It wins hands down every time. Strange accents, pasties, and cider.
What more is there to life? Strange accents and cider.
So, what are we talking today? Stepping up in 2023. Who? Tell me, Ryan. Who is going to be stepping up in 2023?
Well, listeners and lovely viewers, one of the things we often think about is how do we make these podcasts interesting to listen to, and what is it that you really the hundreds of thousands of you that listen on a monthly basis, what does it make you listen? And we thought, why don't we talk about some of the brands that we think this year are going to do an excellent job at looking after their customers. And you might then decide you want to go and have a little research and look at them and see what they're up to, and yeah, maybe pick up a few hints and tips. So that's what we thought we'd talk about today, tonight, isn't it?
It is indeed. And actually, whilst we're discussing those, we're going to be thinking about, a couple of little examples from a local point of view, because a lot of people say to us, oh, Richard, Ryan, we're always talking about the bigger organizations. And of course, they've got lots of money to do all this lovely stuff. Well, it's not about the money and what you can invest. It's about standing back and thinking about it. So we'll be thinking about local organizations, local businesses that have sort of echoed that or done similar things or done something as well that's made a difference. So it can be done across any organization. That's what we're trying to say. So
Great.
that's what
Okay. So let's kick off. So, well, I want to start with a brand I've mentioned before. And it's a brand I went on holiday with last year, who have now become the UK's largest tour operator, and they've added an additional 500,000 customers to their portfolio this year, and they've overtaken TUI. And the brand I'm talking about is Jet2. Some of you may remember warbling last summer about the experience we had and how seamless it was to put our bags in at Bristol Airport, and how we were looked after when we were abroad in Greece, and how nothing was too much trouble, how the flight was on time, and all the basics you'd expect. But the reason I raised Jet2 is they've always made their raison d'etre the importance of looking after their customers and putting the customers at the centre of what they do, in all of their practices, in all of their procedures, in all of their guest holiday, all the resorts that they invest in, and so on. And if there is a problem, I think what's really useful, and certainly in my experience, is that they go all out to try and solve the problem. So Jet2 is definitely one to look at this year. They're using their customer focus to get ahead of the game commercially. As I said, they've overtaken TUI as the UK's number one tour operator, and just proves, doesn't it, the fact that when you focus on the right things, when you focus on the customer experience, people will come back time and time again. And more importantly, they will recommend you to their friends and their family to use your products and services. And that's exactly what has happened with this 500,000 extra customers. Now, the other thing that's quite interesting is they've really keyed into the fact that, family holidays this year are going to be more difficult to buy. People, the cost of living crisis is really biting with some clients. So they've introduced things like, the low deposit of £60 per person, for example, which they've had, to be fair, running for a little while, but they're really majoring on that and really helping customers who, even if they get to the pay date of their holiday, they can choose to opt to put it back even further. to be able to save more, they can pay. But so they've really thought about the client journey and what customers are up against at the moment. So one to watch this year. I think you're only going to see great things from
Yeah.
Jet2 going forward.
And you mentioned the key words there, the customer journey.
Yeah,
So again, how does this translate into what we can do from a local point of view? Well, quite clearly, it's that stepping back and actually looking at the journey that your customers, your clients take with you. So, from a local point of view, Farmfields is a solicitors in Dorset who actually have taken that very step. It was probably last year, the year before, they actually did some client journey mapping. So, with their organizer, with their different teams, they sat down and they looked at all the different touch points that their clients go along with them. And they were seeing that things were going well in certain areas and things that could be improved in other areas. So it's actually taking the time to challenge yourselves and challenge the flow, the journey that the customers go on. Is it the right one? Just because you've got a process in place to do it that way, does it actually make life easier for your customers? Because if it does, as Ryan exactly just said, they will go away and tell people how easy it was and that they should book, use you, use your service, your product, or whatever it is. So customer journey mapping for local businesses can make a world of difference. It's a very short session that can be put in at any time for any business.
brilliant. Thanks, Rich. What a great example, particularly in the legal sector, where we know some of our legal clients really struggle with understanding the importance of the interaction at every point of the client journey. So, second big brand I want to talk about, and one to definitely watch today, this year, is Starling Bank. So, for those of you who've not heard about Starling Bank, Starling Bank is an online only bank. It's fully registered and regulated in the UK. You can apply minutes to get an account. It's a really simple process. With millions, someone joins apparently the bank every 38 seconds. It's that simple. So you kind of go, well, it's an online bank, right? Why is that such a new thing? I'm a Barclays customer and I have an online banking app with them, and you may well have. But what's quite interesting about Starling Bank, and a number of the only internet-only banks, people like Metro Bank, which now have got branches as well, I know, but Starling Bank prides itself on being available 24/7, and it prides itself on being available with real people at the end of a telephone line. Can you
No,
believe it?
rubbish. Don't be ridiculous.
Believe it. I cannot
No.
believe it.
Well, that means it must just be people in another country who haven't been trained very well. That'll be how they can do that, surely.
No, 24/7 UK testing.
No way.
Yes. Can you believe it? I couldn't. So what's really interesting is that I'm in the process at the moment of thinking about changing my bank account.
Ooh.
Places I'm looking at, this is why it popped up and why I was thinking about moving to Starling Bank. And I asked around, and a number of people that friends and family that have got a Starling said they would never, ever, ever go anywhere else ever again,
Wow.
because the service experience is so good. And some of those individuals were not your youngsters who want to go online, right? It was people, because we know now, look, reality is banking is not the preserve of the high street anymore. It hasn't been for many years. And the banks, to be fair to them, have been very proactive at driving and making their client journey online, really easy to use. But here's the thing. Along with Monzo, who are also an online bank,
Yep.
their overall service quality mark, they are joint first with Starling Bank at 81%. 81% of their clients are fully satisfied with the service experience.
Wow.
That compares to the market leader before, the First Direct. Everyone used to talk about First Direct and how good they were.
Yep.
78%. Metro Bank, 69%. Nationwide is the only traditional bank building society that drops into that top five at 68%. So you can see that these online banks now are really, really, really getting their act together. So Starling might want to watch this year.
Fantastic. And one of the key things that comes out of that, and that's really interesting for the local side of things, of course, is the fact that people will say, well, of course, they can invest in all that technology. Well, they can have 20 people on 24/7, blah, blah, blah. But that is actually reacting to feedback. People have been telling banks for a long time they don't like the fact that they're outsourcing help services. They want people in the locality, in their area, so that they can have those conversations. They want to be able to do things that are easy, that are online. And actually, it's a really interesting one. It's about knowing your customers, or actually getting to know your customers more so, because traditionally, yeah, and old people, I think we fall in that bracket now, Ryan, actually, don't like online. Oh no, our customers, they don't like technology. They won't answer an online feedback request. They won't do that. No, no, no. How do you know? How do you know? You have an opinion. Absolutely. We all do. We all perceive the world in different ways. But if you want a really successful business that has put the customer at the center of it, you have to challenge your perceptions and do as the Americans would say, do the math. What are the figures telling you? What is the data telling you? Are people actually engaging? And I know from my experience, they are. My father's 85 this year. He was just on the telephone to me the only other day saying, Richard, I'm looking at a MacBook Air. Yeah. I want to go. Exactly. He's obviously got far too much money. Bloody baby boomers. Anyway, that's another story. He uses his iPad all the time. He's got his iPhone all the time. He uses all that tech. Yeah. It frustrates the hell out of him sometimes, like it does for all of us. But let's not assume, because what does assuming do, Ryan?
It makes an ass out of you and me, Mr. Knight. Right, that brings me on nicely.
Moving on.
To my third brand to watch this year, and this is a really interesting brand. And most of you are going to, when I mention it, you're going to kind of go, "Yeah, we know about them," but you might know about what they've been up to. So the third brand I want to talk about this month is, again, it's a travel brand, and they're called, and then you'll know them as Premier Inn. Rest easy, not to be mistaken with the Lodge, but Premier Inn. So what's really interesting is Premier Inn again are a very accessible brand. So it's very easy to manage your booking online with them. It's very easy to get in contact with them. And what's even easier is the fact that they don't appear on price comparison sites. So they're not on booking.com. You have to go to premierin.com to book the trip with them. And again, what's really interesting here is that Premier Inn, you get what it says on the tin. It's the old Ron seal, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
You know that when you rock up to a Premier Inn, there's going to be somewhere potentially for you to have something to eat, a drink. You know you're going to get a good night's sleep. They even sell the Hypnos beds now elsewhere because they're so comfortable. So people, for very many people, it's often the first choice in terms of where they look. But what's really interesting is now they've started to really branch out and think about what other types of customers want from the Premier Inn brand, because Premier Inn as a brand is, they're very, very well trusted in the marketplace. So, for example, when you look at their website, it talks about family friendly. It talks about being committed to cleanliness. It talks about having a great sleep. All those are kind of hygiene factors, right? We'd expect that in any hotel. But let me tell you, after going to London last weekend and staying in what was perceived to be a premium hotel, I can tell you that the great sleep didn't happen because there was a dripping tap in the shower. It was not clean, and it was not family friendly, and that is what you would expect in a hotel in London. So I'm wishing I'd booked a Premier Inn. The other thing that's really interesting is they've started to diversify into other types of hotels. So Hub by Premier Inn is much smaller rooms. If you've got like a one night stay and you're on your own and you just want a bed and a TV and some dinky little room, it's much cheaper. And they are starting to become available in some of the bigger cities, London, Edinburgh, example. And I've stayed in a Hub by Premier Inn in London, near King's Cross Station. And then Zip by Premier Inn is another really simple idea. Okay, you get a small room, a simple stay, and the best of all, it's from 21 quid a night. So again, if you're thinking of, they're really thinking ahead here. Again, this is even a smaller room than Hub by Premier Inn. This is just literally a bed and a toilet. But if all you need is a bed and a toilet, and you want a good night's sleep, and maybe you're out on the town, Rich, like you are regularly,
That's
you know,
it. I'm just
a bed
thinking
for
that
a night,
now. Yeah.
that is cheaper than a taxi home, let me tell you. So
Yeah.
again, they're just thinking outside of the box here. And
Like
who
it.
knew? Didn't know there was Premier Inns in Germany and in the Middle East.
There you go. You see, it's a simple formula, isn't it? And it's an interesting one because it's about options. It's about giving customers choice. And again, how does this relate to us as smaller business owners, of people? Well, you might not be actually. Probably, I know some of the bigger guys are probably listening to this. All of those big organisations, as they do, come to us for a little bit of advice every now and again. But options, local. What are the options that you're giving people? And actually, that sort of local, the option side of things is something that I've seen recently. I'm actually currently judging the Business Excellence Awards in South Wiltshire and Salisbury, and I get to go and interview some fantastic organisations and hear what they've done, how they're changing to meet their customers' needs. And options is one of the great things. There's a jewellers that has entered into the Service Excellence Awards, and they've been around for 200 years. And you'd think, oh, blimey, they could be very much just sticking at what they do and never changing and all that sort of stuff. But actually, they've encompassed the older way of working and actually put it into something which is, and spun it slightly to be of interest to people, because we know people want more of an experience when they're purchasing things these days. It doesn't matter what they're buying. You want an experience, whether it's going out for a drink or, buying something from Tesco. They still want some form of experience coming with it. And these guys say, look, we'll sell you what we've got. If we can't sell it for you because we haven't got it, we'll get it in for you. And if we can't get it in for you, we'll make it for you. So as a jewelers, they can actually go out of their way and do that. And one of the examples of making it even more of an experience is actually using jewelry that you've had in the past. So rings, gold can be melted down and made into something new. Now, what an experience that is. Couple that with the basics of being a great customer-centric organization, and you're going to get an experience that really does make a difference. The fact that you've got something that's bespoke to you and has been made for you and has been part of your family's inheritance and all of that sort of stuff, fantastic. It really does drive it. So these big guys are doing loads, but from a local point of view, there's always a way of making a real difference for our customers. And just before we go, we just want a quick reminder that if you do want to step up in 2023 and you are a professional services organization, we have an event coming up on March the 16th. It is at the National Motor Museum in Warwickshire, just off the M40. I think it is M40. No, I can't remember. M42. M42.
Yeah. Warwickshire.
Yeah, exactly. And it is Insight 6 are promoting with Moneypenny to deliver CX is the name of the event itself. It runs from 9:30 in the morning through to 4 o'clock. And we're going to be thinking about how to customer experience superproof your business, networking breakout sessions, how to execute your customer experience strategies, the 6 things business leaders need to do when it comes to CX. And then after lunch, there is a keynote speaker, Colin McLaughlin, who is a former SAS soldier. And he's talking all about resilience. So a fantastic end of the afternoon there. And then you get to have a wander around the museum and do all those lovely things if you want to at all. So if you want to step up, this sort of event is for you. The link is below. So please do take a moment to have a look.
Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Great event coming up. Brilliant. Well, some really, 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 really good tips there. So brands to look out for on a local level. Rich talked about the jewelers and farm fields, the solicitors, and then nationally, have a look at those brands, see what they're up to. Jet2, Starling Bank, and Premier Inn, ones to really look out for this year. I think they're going to be highlighted as some of the most customer-centric brands in the UK. Well, that's it from us this month, isn't it? We're off now to drink a pint of cider.
That's it.
And we look forward to chatting you all in March. March, it'll be the spring.
The spring, it will be the spring, and the springing will be sprunging. And actually, it'll be interesting to, if you've got any comments, likes, and shares on all of this stuff, it'd be good to hear how you're stepping up in 2023. What are you going to do to make a difference as well? So I've been Richard Knight.
I've been Ryan Huxtable. Have a great month.